Okay, welcome. Today we have a part of international economics, and also it can be used in your analysis for microeconomics. It's all about government intervention. It's all about protecting domestic economies from imports. What we have here is the concept of tariffs. A tariff is a fixed amount of indirect tax that is placed upon one unit of production. What we have here is a diagram that shows a basic supply and demand diagram without trade. Okay, so initially, without trade, we have domestic supply, dom S, we have domestic demand. Okay, now assume this is a market for something like wheat. This is a commodity product, and as a commodity product, then this is a very small part of the production of wheat throughout the entire world. This is just the production of wheat for one country. Now, if we take into account that this country may trade with other countries by importing and possibly exporting its products, then we also need to take into account the entire world production of this commodity. The world production of this commodity is perfectly elastic. The reason for that, the numbers that we're dealing with here for an individual country do not affect the price that is offered by the world suppliers. So we have here world supply, and here WP. WP is the price offered on the world market, and it is significantly lower than the price offered by the domestic market in this economy. The domestic economy in this case would offer a price here, that's PE, and this is the quantity that would be produced without any trade, just in the domestic market. With trade, however, we have a slightly different scenario, because at this price level, domestic demand would be here, Q1. That is the total quantity of goods and services in this industry which are demanded at that price. People are willing and able to pay that price. However, in this industry, in this economy, not all the suppliers are willing to supply at that price. We have some domestic supply that is down here. And there we see a major gap. We see a gap between Q1 and Q2, the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied. Well, where does that supply come from? That supply comes from importers. People on the world market that are willing and able to supply that price at that good at that price. Okay. Now, what does the government do in this case? Well, it adds a tariff. It removes the competitive advantage, or partially removes the competitive advantage from the foreign importers. And there we have the world supply plus our tariff. This is an upward shift by the amount of the tariff. And there we have WP plus T. WP plus tariff. World price plus tariff. Now then, what happens in this scenario? Well, we suddenly see that domestic consumers are forced to pay a higher price for their product, in this case wheat. They are now forced to pay this higher price, and they demand less. They demand Q3. What happens in relation to domestic supply? Well, domestic suppliers are actually, because they are being protected, are able to produce more. And they will now produce Q4. They will also receive a higher price for their product. They are very happy. In relation to the amount of imports in this economy, you can now see that the amount of imports has reduced. It was previously this amount, Q2 to Q1, but now it has shrunken, it has become less, it's gone here, and it's gone in here, and it's now between Q4 and Q3. So the effect of that tariff has been quite dramatic. Think about evaluation from this point onwards. Evaluation would take the form of looking at some of the different stakeholders and how they are affected. In relation to domestic supply, domestic suppliers are very happy with this situation because they can charge a higher price for their products and they sell more. Their revenues increase. Domestic consumers are not very happy at all because they have less choice, they have to pay a higher price, and we lose part of the consumer surplus. This circle here is our consumer surplus that we have lost. In relation to world efficiency has been reduced. This is the loss of world efficiency here because whichever government this is protecting inefficient companies against more efficient companies from abroad, and therefore they are affecting overall world efficiency. We also have the government in this case, and they are very pleased. They are very pleased because they receive tax revenue. They receive part of their tax revenue from tariffs. And what that means is they can take that tax revenue and they can spend it on other public services. They can spend it on healthcare, they can spend it on education, they can spend it on infrastructure, they can spend it on public goods. Any sort of public spending. And that is a bonus for that particular government. Now, bear in mind that domestic suppliers are pleased, domestic consumers are not pleased, the government's happy, the importers are not very happy because they are being obstructed from this market. They are being kept out of this market and they're being told basically that they cannot enter or can't enter as much into this domestic economy. In relation to your political relationships with other countries, this of course could be damaging to you because a government is likely to counteract your placing of tariffs on their products with retaliatory tariffs. And there you can get into what we call a trade war, and you can find that that is not of any benefit to either party. Okay, that's all from me for today. This is tariffs. It's good to mention those different stakeholders when you're evaluating. It's good to consider the short-term ramifications and, of course, the long-term political ramifications. That's all from me today, and hopefully you'll see me soon.